Pat's Pizza and Bistro, 1426 West Broad Street, Bethlehem, PA. One of my favorite places to go in the Valley, and they came on as a sponsor. Yanni's been on the podcast before. He's had me up there from tastings. I've had everything from the chicken fingers, which are made from scratch, all the way up to the brand new pasta flights. The pasta flights are trending. They are flying off the shelves. It's insane that they can even keep up. I met the chef over there. Legit, no joke stuff going on. They use clean ingredients, real food, fresh food. It is family owned, family operated. It is very fast and furious. If you go to their online website, it is right here. You can get all this information. You can order there. You can place pickup orders. You can have delivery on certain days, and the hours of operation are on there as well. Please go check them out. I am not just saying this. They are a legit force to be reckoned with in the Valley. That's Pat's Pizza and Bistro, 1426 West Broad Street, Bethlehem, PA. Luke Delmeyer Knives, handcrafted, handmade knives. I use mine every time we go to the pop-ups, and it is ridiculous. It is just something special. There's something different. It's handcrafted. It's handmade. Luke has grown since we started the show to now, where he is pumping out knives and classes. I want to push his classes. If you go to lukedelmeyer.com, it has all the information for the classes, and you get to take a 2-day course, and you go over everything from safety on how to use it. You're selecting the knife handles out, and you're really from top to bottom getting to go through the whole experience. Where else can you find that in the Valley? Luke is a very special person to the show. He's really cool. We've done projects together. We have apparel we're doing together. I really want you to go check it out. If you're interested in anything, handcrafted stuff, working class stuff, blue collar stuff, like this is the area you need to go to. But it's lukedelmeyer.com, Luke Delmeyer, handcrafted knives. Sign up for those classes, those courses. Go check that out. It's really cool. It's a 2-day event, and you get to experience making your own knife, and then you take your knife home with you. And you're going to take home a little bit more than that. So check out Luke Delmeyer, friend of the show. Always awesome watching him grow. lukedelmeyer.com. MindleafCBD.com. Mindleaf. Easton Zone, Mindleaf CBD. I didn't know a lot about CBD till they became a sponsor and they started coming on the show a lot. And Liz is huge for, I learn something every time she comes on. They are over in College Hill in Easton. You can check out all their information on mindleafcbd.com. I believe you can order there, but go experience the store. Liz's mom works over there. Liz keeps bringing in products such as the honey flights. They have peanut butter, the infused pretzels. My favorite thing is the tinctures to go to sleep. I have problems sleeping, and these things put me out, and I have a little bit of lucid dreams riding a unicorn, and then I wake up back to normal, and then I get excited to do that again. So my big thing I use with them is the tinctures and the balm. The balm is another one. I use it for aches and pains on my knees, and my old man uses it for his arthritis. Mindleaf CBD. They are over in Easton on College Hill. Please go check the store out. Really cool space, and like I said, Liz's mom's over there, and they will help you with everything. It's awesome that they're super local, and I stand behind their CBD and everything that they got coming out of there. That's Mindleaf CBD, mindleafcbd.com. Eric K. Dowdle, defense attorney. We had him on the show, and what crazy stories this guy's had. He's helped a ton of people over the years, and if you're looking for help, he is your guy. You can contact them at 610-882-3000, and it's ekdefense.com. Do you have a pending court case? Do you have a court appearance and need a defense lawyer? Do you need proper representation? Felony, misdemeanor, drug offense, assault, homicide, DUI, traffic violation, appeals. Reach out to Eric. Check out the podcast we did with him as well. It has his whole story on there. If you need help, Eric is here to help you. He sponsors the show. We appreciate it. He's going to be doing a monthly thing with us. Eric will be a part of the family now. Thank you for sponsoring. Never Again Radio. Who knows what episode we're on? Welcome to Never Again Radio, guys. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having us.
Yes, of course. This podcast, we got two people, so I kind of like to put this out there, but we're going to go back and forth till we kind of get an intro from both you guys, and then we'll kind of move forward with your story. we'll take turns, but kind of introduce yourself and what you do in the business and you're part of the business.
Jeff Virajanapa, owner of White Orchid Thai Cuisine and Notch Modern Kitchen and Bar.
Byron Coons, Director of Operations for White Orchid Thai Cuisine and Notch Modern Kitchen Bar.
Cool. I had the opportunity, I met Brooks over there, and then I was able to go over White Orchid, and it was my first time there, and the food was awesome, the atmosphere is awesome. A couple of the employees were kind of telling me how it started in smaller and then it grew, and that bar area is really, I really like that bar area a lot. It's kind of small and cozy. And then when I walked around, and I really liked the culture and the art and everything and kind of how the layout came about. But where did White Orchid start as far as like what you wanted to do with cooking, or, you know, how did it become a part of your life to the point where you opened a restaurant?
I mean, growing up, I've always enjoyed, being in the restaurant, whether it's eating in, working in restaurants. That love was always there when I was young. We'd Sundays, growing up, we'd go to church, on Sunday, and then we'd do a round robin of every week. Do you want to pick a place to go out to eat? Do you want to pick a place? So every Sunday would be like, the time when all of our, family were together in one spot. We'd, have conversations, and, back in the day, young and everything, we go to Chili's or.
Yeah. That's a big deal back in the day.
Yeah. Get some chicken tenders,
Yeah.
What do they call them there? So good.
I remember when Red Robin opened around here, and that was like a huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
To go to Red Robin.
Yeah, Red
Even
Robin.
Pizza Hut down there, because I remember they would bring the pizza out, and it was like, I remember I went down there with my mom's friend, and she was like, they have pictures of Coca-Cola. Like that was the draw.
Well, my folks loved going to Ponderosa back in the day. So just growing up, that'd be like the one time of the week where we know that we'd, be hanging out with family and
That's
stuff
fun.
like that. So yeah, it was cool. And
Nice way to end the week too.
Yeah, and I went to finish school, went to college and stuff, and during that whole time, in the restaurant industry and working in restaurants, I just fell in love with it. And I knew down the line that I wanted to be doing this, future, and my dad's always wanted to own his own business and stuff, and I moved out to California as an engineer, fresh out of school, and this was when year 2000 or something like that. All the stock market crashed, and Lehigh Valley had a lot of gear, Lucent, they're all spinning off, becoming smaller and smaller companies, and my dad was interviewing out in California. He was like, I'm 55. I don't want to really be interviewing in, California, taking a job, moving, blah, blah, blah. Did you want to, I want to own my own business one day. And did you want to move back? And, we can do this thing. They're opening up a new mall at the Promenade Shops. Moved back. We were I was moonlighting at my, my other job, working on a business plan with my dad. And we, moved back and kind of opened up, and we took a small little spot at the back end of the mall. Everything was already basically full at that time, and we took a retail clothing store, and we bumped out the back office of that building, turned it into a kitchen. So that kitchen, we'll crank out tons of food now, but it's really only 400 square feet. It's dinky. But that's kind of the start of White Orchids. We brought on a couple of family, my mom's family friends. They were chefs at a Thai restaurant in California. They came over. They had the same amount of square footage at their place in California. It's about 45, 50 seats. That's great. We can handle that with 3, 4, 5 cooks, and we're like, that's great, first time business owners, and when we finally opened White Orchids, definitely 40 to 50 seats in a California restaurant. We had just 40, 50 seats, but that volume that came through was 40, 50 seats, like filling up 2-3 times, over
the turnover.
And then we just like, wow, we definitely 4 or 5 cooks, like the whole entire schedule for the week did not work. So yeah, my mom then started work. She was a nurse for like 45 years at Lehigh Valley Hospital. She started working in the kitchen with my dad and myself, which none of us, thought we'd be in the kitchen and stuff. And yeah, so that we were like living the at White Orchids for good like 85, 90 hours a week for quite a few years. But it was good. It was busy. And yeah, we 2 years later, the store next to us, it was like a Italian handbag shoe store, like high end. They went out of business, and the mall asked us if we wanted to move next door, and yeah, we expanded.
That was cool that they asked about that.
Yeah, it was nice. We were able to work out a better lease, become a little bit bigger. We expanded our patio a little bit. We were BYO at that time, so yeah, we got able to get a liquor license, and we built out the 10-seat bar that you guys are sitting at over at the next door there. And Byron actually, he was living in China at the time, moved back, and
what were you in China for?
I had the opportunity after I finished school to go to China. My parents were abroad in India for about 3 years or so, working with Air Products. Sorry.
You're all right, man.
And then they had the opportunity to move to Shanghai, and so I had a free flight.
Yeah.
So I studied Mandarin, full-time university for a year and a half, and I taught English on the side.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
where were you living before you lived there?
South Carolina. So
That's a drastic change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool though. So he came on then at that point?
Yeah, so I mean, we at that time, did not have, much bar experience, cocktail program experience at all. And, I mean, I enjoy, a good cocktail and stuff at the time. And we were a BYO at the time as well. So, our the guests, the roots we were forming there, 2 years, at that time, it was like bringing in like a huge jug of like Carlo Rossi, or like these magnums of I don't know, pick a $7 wine, you got it.
Yep.
So at that time we're like a lot of Asian restaurants, a lot of hibachi places. If you go to their establishment and you get you check out their drinks, they're nothing like elevated, as well. And in that transition of like opening up White Orchids, the guest expectation is this: we don't want to build a bar program that's not much different than what guests are bringing in already. You know what I mean? We don't want to offer cheap wines and then upsell them, because the guests there at the time were like already bringing their own wine that wasn't expensive.
That's an interesting perspective, because if you would go too high and make it too bougie, then they would be like, well, it was better when we could just bring in what we wanted.
Right. And yeah, I mean, in that transition, then we wanted to at least elevate it enough where they'd be surprised by like the choices we selected. They'd be surprised by the cocktails we made up and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, Byron came on about that time. We moved back from China, and Byron and I went to school together, and he was like looking for a job coming back and stuff like that. And he had run I think he worked at Bonefish, right, and in South Carolina as bartender and stuff. So he had some good experience, and we kind of went through this whole entire cocktail program building, wine building. It was cool. And then we developed a nice menu. I think right now we have I feel like our best assets for the liquor license right now is probably definitely like our wine selection, or craft beers. We don't have a big bar, but people come for a good selection.
It's a nice setup. Sometimes I like bars. I like sitting at the bars to eat. I go to a lot of places by myself. When I lived in Virginia, I living alone, so I got accustomed to just doing stuff like that. So I don't care about going out to eat and by myself. And when you have that ability, or you're kind of going out that way, like a bar setup like you guys have over there is like the perfect atmosphere where it's not too big, so it's inviting, but then if you're there with a couple people, it's like your little space. I'm a big fan of that bar. I go to a lot of bars, and after seeing that one, it's just got something to it. Like it's very inviting. I don't know what it is, but there's just something about that little bar that it's a cool hang.
Yeah, I think it's like intimate.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And we'll even get guests now that are like, oh, we didn't really realize we were back there, or we kind of did, but we, gave you guys a try, and it was, great, and the experience, like elevated Thai food with like some great drinks is great. We'll have guests that we're coming onto our 15th anniversary in August of White Orchids, and we'll get guests. Back in the day that when Byron came on board, he was our main bartender at the time, and we have guests that are like, oh, can Byron still make us our drink? and Byron's running between two different restaurants, like with the operations and stuff. It's cool, kind of like that, those roots, now, like those folks that Byron took care of, as a bartender 15 years ago, like they have kids that want to work at the restaurant and stuff like that. And yeah, it's like it's cool having those kind of like connections and roots, all these years.
It's when you have a connection with a bartender, and a bartender really makes an experience something. When that bartender moves on, it's like tough for the customers. I went through it a couple different bars, and you got to just see who's coming on next and whatnot. But I mean, as far as you staying there and developing more with it, I'm sure there's still a part of you there for those people. What was it like for you guys to develop what you were doing? I mean, because you guys are working together now, so it's like, what was your general concept of like what drinks you wanted to pair with the meals?
Well, I mean, I think you hit on it earlier when you were talking about the intimacy of the bar space itself. And maybe with Thai food, some people can be intimidated with what their perception of Thai food would be and how it could work alongside cocktail, wine, and beer. So taking some of those misnomers out by having a warm, inviting area, as well as knowledgeable people that can lead the guests into the experience, goes a long way. So I think, some of that original cocktail stuff was fairly simple, but simple in a way that was warm and inviting, yet still something at that time nobody else was really doing in terms of a full cocktail build out. And wine as well. I mean, the majority of the wines that we had on that list for By the Glass, you can't even come close to touching anymore. That stuff was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you guys were kind of putting it together, and were you looking locally to get stuff, or were you kind of going off of what was popular that people were bringing in, or did you want to do a little bit of everything?
Well, I think at that time I was 25, 26. We were younger men back in the day, and we do a lot of we do a lot of like little R&D things, like some birthday, take a party bus to like Philadelphia, or like we'd like go down to Philadelphia or New York, and go to some restaurants. And we kind of think at that time the cocktail program came about, like, hey, Byron, what are your favorite drinks? What are my favorite drinks? What are drinks that we love at this Morimoto, or favorite drink at this place that we went to that we loved, and that's kind of how that kind of came about. And we'd I remember back in the day, R&D would be like, we'd have like just bottles like at like my apartment or Byron's apartment. We'd have like late night hangouts where we'd build different cocktails. The servers at the time that came and like oh, how about this like creation, and then we'd have like contests of like coming up with like a drink, and then then fine tuning those with like different aspects and ratios and stuff. It was definitely a younger time, and a little bit more like what do we like as White Orchids as a staff, and what do we like as living in the moment there. Of course Byron spent a lot of time at there for you still do, but
Yeah.
but I mean, like in terms of like building out those drinks and building out what did the guests like. The guests used to bring this. Well, let's have them experience that wine that they enjoyed, but a more bomb version of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the guest comes back like, I know you guys used to bring this bottle. Try this glass of wine. And they're like, wow, that's great.
I mean, we found very quickly that especially in like beer, we did all local craft, and at that time, 13 and a half years ago, wasn't quite as big as it is now, obviously, but with our experience, we found the keg of Yingling would just sit there for a while because everybody wanted something special because they're going out to eat in a special environment and not something that they're always having, so they wanted something different.
It's crazy looking back.
Inviting.
It's crazy looking back at a time when the IPAs and that stuff weren't mainstream popular, but the couple of places were doing it way ahead of its time.
Oh yeah, I mean, my favorite bottle back in the day was a 750 cork bottle of Brewdog Hardcore IPA, and that was still brewed, in Ireland or Scotland maybe. But now they have a brewery in Ohio, and they did a TV show, and they all that stuff years ago. But just as an example, and
well, remember when
triple Carmelite and all that stuff.
Remember when Dogfish was like all the rage, and
90-minute
people would love like the 60-minute, and we'd want to doodle it up a little bit. We'd put the 90-minute on tap, and people were like, you have 90-minute on tap?
Yeah.
And then the guests,
it was like obscure. Like people would go to bars looking for that because it wasn't everywhere.
Right.
And the guests then would be like in love with that. And then, Byron actually picked up a case of what was it, red, white, and blue, or
they used to do the red, white, and blue, black and blue big bottles.
And then people would like make reservations, be like, hey Byron, can you save me that magnum of black and blue? We'd have like 6 bottles or something like that. So it was cool to be able to like move from that BYOB. People are like, a lot of people are disappointed. Oh, you're getting a liquor license. It's not gonna be the same. But I think we made it special for a lot of people.
Where did your background start with like the beverage service and alcohol and that? Were you doing that previous, or is it something that you kind of jumped into?
Well, I mean, I've worked in restaurants since I was 15, so a long time, and at a young age had experience pouring drinks. We won't say how old or whatever, but like they got a liquor license, and they're like, Byron, you just make drinks. Okay, all right. But I think my growth and development really came through college time period. I did all kinds of different specialty catered events with a friend of mine who owned a cocktail business. Worked at Bonefish down in South Carolina, helped open up another Bonefish. Really worked a lot in the industry on a couple different facets. And then even when I was abroad, I found I started to shoot pool competitively.
Nice,
and
that's so cool.
My home bar there was called Spot Bar, and I would do a guest bartender night. Maybe it was just like the token, American guy.
So this was in China?
This is like ladies' night. Yeah. So they would just,
that must have been wild.
You come up with a cocktail, you can sit here, you can drink and just whatever, and then shoot pool later. I'm like, all right, sounds like a good night. All I gotta do is teach English tomorrow, so that's okay.
I don't know if he was speaking English the next day.
Yeah. But really the growth in knowledge really came through in assisting with Jeff in opening White Orchid's bar side, because when you're doing that, you're really incorporating in more thought processes than, oh, what do I like? Okay, so we start there, and then you start to talk to all the different reps and things like that, and then just absorbing the knowledge from sales reps based off of wine, spirits, and as well as beer. But that core growth really came through with wine, and Jeff's love of wine too. And I think we both have a affinity for it.
Yeah, I mean the bar is not big, but when we can only fit so many bottles of wine. But again with that beer story, we have guests that have been coming since like day one, and Byron will pick out and buy this bottle of wine that he knows that the a guest would like, and they're like, hey, do you have a special bottle of wine? Like, yes, it's like sitting up there, bartender will grab it, and they're like, just doesn't care what it is. They trust Byron to like be like, all right, it's gonna be great, you know. So
Yeah, that's got to be great for people that come there and they love the restaurant, they love the food, they love the atmosphere, and then when you keep going places, you still love it, but it kind of gets stale. But then for you guys to have opened up the bar, and then now people have the ability where it's kind of like their own little hangout, where it's like they can get the information from a friend at this point, and then be like, oh, well, our friend recommends it, and then you got people who want to bring people out because they want to, you know, show them the experience that they go through. What was that like for the two of you? I mean, it's got to be crazy to open the restaurant and then you guys start working together, but then I'm sure over the years, seeing the growth of White Orchid and feeling that, and then now adding the alcohol, which is going to add a whole nother dining experience. What was that like for you guys to develop it out of apartments and going into the city and all that, and then for the idea to actually work? That must have been pretty moving for the two of you to be like, oh, because I try to say to people sometimes when they ask about this, I'm like, hey, this couldn't have worked at all. And you take a risk on something. So for the fact of you guys having momentum and doing all this stuff in the city, and then your idea works, that's got to feel crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think trial and error is always present, and by building it out and seeing what the response is, and then using specials and things of that nature, you kind of see what the customer in the area would like to see and how it fits into your restaurant.
Yeah, with definitely with guests, you know, at the, you know, forefront in your mind about, you know, how to kind of roll and build upon and grow and stuff like that. It's very similar to, you know, your expansion coming up down the line too, right? I mean, you're doing these cool things, but that's probably a lot from like a lot of like, you know, guest feedback and you know, people that, you know, that been following you for a while, you know, so you're probably are not going to fail because you know, you're going off of your gut of what, you know, your fans want, your followers want.
Yeah,
like that. You know,
I feel
that's
like
kind of like the same thing. You know, if we go in a totally different direction, we're like, you know, oh, we're not gonna do those wines because, you know, we want to do modern wines. You know, it's we go with like what we know, but then also follow what everyone also wants. You know,
it takes a specific type of person to step back and have something that they're building, and then in a sense, the only way it really works is if you don't make it about yourself. And like, there's a fine line of having a product and an idea and then taking a step back, and you do have to listen to people. And then when you understand that, it's way easier to start navigating. And I don't think it's something that you don't notice right away that you're doing. And then it's like, oh, we're taking the feedback. I mean, the burger, when I started out with it, it had all this different stuff on it, and then like I took bacon away and no one said anything, so I was like, cool, we can stop spending an extra $500 on bacon. But then when we changed the pickle, I remember it was a seasonal pickle, and I was like, oh, whatever, that sucks, we'll have to do it, this one will work. And then the first person who took a bite was like, you changed the pickle. And then people were upset about the pickle. So then, all right, well then this time now, like we adjusted this summer, I bought more, but like you have to listen to that feedback. And if you're too thick-headed or you're not into actually making it for people and not about yourself, there's a large room for failure. But I like how you guys have developed it, because when you come into White Orchid, it's not really about White Orchid. It's about the experience of being in White Orchid, which you would have to make for people, not for yourself.
Right.
Yeah, I remember when we were year one, we were doing lunch specials. You know, we had to be open 7 days a week, open lunch and dinner. And I remember like, you know, living in California, going to like different Thai restaurants, like they'd have this, you know, lunch combination. You know, you get $11 lunch combination, and like we're like, oh, let's do that. So opening up White Orchids, and like we were super busy. We were, you know, we had the chefs that were, we only need like 4 people, you know, and we got the $11 lunch special. And at that time it was like, you know, I think we were like the second restaurant or third or something, and Red Robin had just opened. I think our lunches were like cheaper than like by like quite a few dollars than Red Robin's burgers, and like we just packed for lunch. It was just like, you know, like 3 turnovers for lunchtime, like people coming in for these $11 curries and stuff.
Yeah, that probably pulls a big lunch crowd over there.
Yeah, I mean, it was like just like so much volume at that time, and we're like, well, I feel like we just priced ourselves under a little bit because we can't keep up. You know, we need to have like 8, 10, 9 guys in the kitchen to be able to run like all these small small price point like lunches, and like I just didn't price it accordingly to the valley, and so we had to, we're like, the servers aren't really making tips because it's an $11 lunch combination. They tip like $1 or $2, for the lunch. So we end up like changing the lunch menu to, but in doing so, we also wanted to listen to the guests and stuff like that. So, they also wanted value, but we also couldn't do it in that kind of volume sense. So we did like paired up with like an appetizer with like, and the you get a little bit more for the money, but at the same time with increasing that price point, the servers would make more tips. We wouldn't have to deal with as many guests, for lunchtime. We'd make the same money or maybe a little bit more, but the guests still would be able to have that perceived value of getting, more for that price point as well. They were fine, with that cost. So I think that, like you said, like you have to kind of just listen to guests, even if you have to evolve in some way or another, kind of just go with the flow, but listen to what your gut's saying, but then also, what the guests are saying as well too.
Yeah. What's it been like for you to come on board and start helping out, and you guys take this idea and then, you start out as a bartender and then you're just growing into now running around and probably doing way more. What was that like for the response from, being a bartender and everybody really liking your ideas? And, that's got to feel cool to go into work and knowing that what you're doing is working, but then for you to grow, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, going in and helping open the bar and having my ideas implemented into the bar alongside Jeff to create was really interesting for me. And within that growth, a lot of times with the other employees, they grow at the same sense. So my knowledge grew with their knowledge and training with them. So you kind of got a mutual respect there. And then from that growth, through the years, training all staff and just understanding how to, go from just bartending to now managing people, and then growing from managing people to managing restaurant operations and how it all fits together between front of house and back of house. It's still great when I'm bouncing back and forth between both restaurants, but I still see people who are regulars and customers.
That's got to be crazy.
And employees at both restaurants. And so then just, interacting with them and I think growth within the industry is pretty wild from how many different aspects there are that really go into day-to-day operations. And
it's got to feel like a whirlwind.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you're kind of pulled around, so you try to, keep a level head in regards to how you're communicating with anybody and everybody, just because it is fast-paced, and you're definitely going multiple directions at the same time, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, every day is different, right?
Yeah, it takes a specific type of person that enjoys that job, and if you are that type of person, sometimes it's not really like work. You're just busy. You get to move around a lot. You're not trapped on like an assembly line, and then you get to dump your creativity into it as well. And then when you have, like guests and things that are really into what you're doing, it really fuels you to keep doing more, and then you kind of see growth everywhere, which is probably the coolest part to watch.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything much better than sitting down and talking to a guest or a regular or a new guest that enjoyed their experience and, just having a great social moment between two people. They're just like, all right, well, this is like, I could just have a regular conversation with you, just friendship kind of deal. And everybody's a guest, and, it's just a comfortable atmosphere in which they can come and just feel comfortable and invited and enjoy their time.
For example, like we had the U.S. Open here locally not too long ago, right?
Which was a lot of fun.
We had a lot of
Open was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a lot of like regulars that would come in, and they know that Byron loves golf, and they'd be sitting at the restaurant like, hey, this person is dining here. They're like, "Where's Byron at?" Byron's like knee deep in like running the kitchen, you know, trying to hey, get Byron out here, get Byron
Sweating
out
through
here.
my chef coat, my hat, like everything.
But it is rewarding. Then slows down, and then like, you know, the guests like try to, you know, like, we want to see Byron, whatever, you know, he'll come out and say hello. But then also it's, you know, rewarding, like being able to, you know, like, oh, we want to introduce you to this person, you know, it's, eating here it's a cool take. And, you know, even when you were like, just it was like a month ago, you were gone for a wedding for like, I don't know, 5-6 days or something. You know, just like the growth of being like the bartender, then the lead bartender, then the bar manager, and, you know, now the operations, you know, the server's like, oh, Byron's gonna be gone for 5 days. Are we gonna be all right? Where's Byron?
That's awesome, though. Yeah.
We were fine.
I want to circle back to something you said earlier, where, you know, about how, you know, on Sundays you would go and would do the family stuff. What was it like for you to look back on all this, and now you see that kind of turned into the restaurant, and now you're working there with your family, and then now it's like this atmosphere that you're obviously creating for others to come and do that type of thing where they're coming out there with families. When you look at it full circle, you kind of created what you were doing on Sundays because you love your family and all that. So what's that like for you to be able to experience that?
Yeah, it's definitely awesome on a lot of different levels. Like I have 3 kids now, one on the way soon, and you know, they go to Southern Lehigh, which is like right you know, by the restaurant, stuff like that, and, you know, hearing like their teachers like, oh, you know, oh, I love you know, pad grapau, you know, that's like my favorite dish, you know, and like they probably came to White Orchids when they were like in college or high school, and seeing that kind of like growth. Like I remember when we first opened, and we had one of our most popular dishes, lettuce wraps, on the menu. It's a, you know, minced chicken and like the citrus lime sauce, and they stew it down and you wrap it up with like lettuce and sticky rice. And I remember when we were serving that like on the first like month, and people are like, oh, what is that? You know, not used to ground chicken 15 years ago, you know, like it looks like, you know, cat food, you know, like, and like that was, I remember it was like clear as day. It was high school kids, like 3 or 4 high school kids coming together and eating, and they were sharing these like lettuce wraps. And like now like, you know, when you know, no one back then, like kids, you know, weren't as well cultured, and you know, I think Lehigh Valley has grown quite a bit with like, you know, good sushi restaurants, you know, Thai restaurants, different kind of you know, ethnic food and stuff like that. And back then it was like these kids like didn't know what, you know, this pad see smells funny, you know. And then and we had to get rid of lettuce wraps for a little bit, just for a while, just because of that. And now it's like the most popular dish. And now when we interview people at to work at White Orchids, we can ask kids that are coming in as 15-year-olds, what's your favorite Thai dish? You know, they can name 3 or 4. Before then, it was like, we're not really, you know, we like Red Robin burgers.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I mean, it was so
cool,
different back
you know,
then.
that kind of like having those roots. And then, you know, back then, like when we were, you know, Sunday dinners at Chili's, you know, I think the Valley has grown quite a bit since then.
Yeah.
And it's cool to be a part of that growth, you know what I mean? And yeah, I think that seeing it now and seeing how like these like kids and parents, you know, and families know about Thai food, and like they enjoy coming to White Orchids and for all the different aspects, you know, drinks, food, you know, seeing familiar faces, you know, Byron, you know, servers, bartenders, you know, like you said, the intimate atmosphere. I think that's all really cool, you know.
What's it been like because you touched on an interesting point there on the Valley used to not be like this at all.
Right.
So like when you rewind that back, it's crazy because it used to just be like chain restaurants like Red Robin, Chili's, TGI Fridays, like all that stuff was super popular. And then you would have these things kind of pop up. How was it to watch the growth and then people start getting your ideas? Because it seems like where it's at now, we're kind of caught up, but like, I mean, for you guys to be at the beginning of it, I mean, there was probably stressful times when you were, are people going to get this Thai food and all that? So, I mean, for you guys to watch the Valley essentially change, and then you can kind of, you know, they're adjusting to what you guys are doing, that had to be a relief.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let Byron elaborate on it, but I think in, you know, hitting the 15 years for White Orchids coming up next month, I think after I don't know how many years, but after so many years, it was kind of like, okay, well, this is great. You know, we're running these menus. We don't have to have all these sendbacks of people not understanding, or you know, we've curtailed the menu and we've tweaked the drink menu. Like, people, you know, are really enjoying this. They're in it. You know, they accept, you know, what we're growing and doing and stuff, and then when we were looking for, you know, new opportunities, you know, an opening Notch, we didn't want to open up White Orchids 2. We wanted to, you know, grow and expand off of what guests were, you know, oh, you know, we'd love to like see you guys do this, but, you know, sorry, we can't, you know, we have 400 square foot kitchen, you know, it's small. We were already trying to be as efficient as possible and stuff, and I think then, you know, being able to get to a point where we're like, okay, well, we want to, you know, continue this, but off of other ideas that we love, you know, after, you know, as the Lehigh Valley grows, you know, I think we've also grown with it in terms of like, then we're not as much as before, like going to Philadelphia, we still do that together, and New York and stuff like that, but it's a little bit more far and few between. But you know, we have different likes, different, you know, flavors, and in building up Notch, we kind of wanted to see like, oh, let's expand, do this, let's try this, and you know, so yeah, wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, through the years with White Orchid, obviously, you know, we bring dishes back, we take them away. Depends on, you know, numbers. You know, every 6 months we just kind of reevaluate where we are at with each individual dish, so that way you keep the menu efficient and relevant at the same time in terms of demand. And we also incorporate specials, and with those specials, we let some of the chefs have a little bit more originality with things, and we take spin-offs of regular Thai dishes and reintroduce them in a different way, in a different light, which has been a lot of fun and keeps it fun in the kitchen for them as well. But that's only based off of our ability to provide that consistency of profile and the growth of the Lehigh Valley in terms of demand for the cuisine.
Yeah.
And that growth in the cuisine, I mean, obviously the past 2-3 years and during COVID time period has only, you know, increased that much more because of the market change. And with the market change of demand from, you know, a lot of influences of people moving into the area from New York and New Jersey, where they have a lot more offerings, and or they have different backgrounds, and or they just enjoy going out. So that opportunity is there to continue to expand on that. And so I think, you know, with White Orchids and Thai cuisine in general, we have so many regulars who are dining with us 3 or 4 times a week. And I never thought non-Thai people would eat Thai food 3 or 4 times a week, but they do. It's just a unique, different flavor profile that you can't always make in your own kitchen at home. And like you mentioned, with the continued flavor profiles of different variations and incorporating it in a different way with what we do over at Notch, it's a great balance of 2 options within the area to continue to evolve different growth of cuisines and options for the Lehigh Valley in general. And I think there's definitely different pockets of markets that have a strong demand for that. Yeah.
I really like that you have that second restaurant and you didn't do the exact same thing. And when Brooks was telling me originally, like, they have Notch, and then it was like, well, Notch is a play on this. And then when I got to go to both, especially if you're like a fan of what you guys are doing, to be able to like bounce back and forth and be like, oh, well, let's go here. All right, well, let's go back. You really have a lot of room to play with. And they're both so different where, you know, the Notch bar is so much bigger, and that's I like the Notch bar as well, but like then to have the intimate one where you can kind of pick and choose like what atmosphere and what surrounding you want to be around. And I really like what you guys have done with both restaurants. What are your plans for keeping up with what's going on and like, you know, like, kind of like, what do you have to kind of keep it fresh? And do you have new ideas coming out, or what's kind of the plan going into the future with either restaurant?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good question. I think that I feel like I was just interviewing a line cook yesterday, and I think we were just chatting about, people leaving the industry with COVID, a lot of people moving to warehouse jobs and stuff like that. And I feel like just like the past like month or so, seems like we've been getting a little bit more interviews than the past like couple of years. Like
that warehouse job ain't fun, especially if you like cooking. The money's a little bit more, but if you don't, I've worked plenty of assembly lines and stuff like that, and if you're a creative person and you like cooking, and like how you were saying, every day's a little bit different, that monotony will eat you down. So I think there's going to be a shift with just the cooking industry getting back its employees.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, seeing that kind of return a little bit, people being interested in coming out to interview. I think our future plans would be to kind of grow and explore that combination of what we're doing at White Orchids. We still have that 400 square foot kitchen that's not gonna grow any bigger at that spot. And takeout has just been has only grown much more the past 2 years, to a point where over there, we have our regular diners that come in, and we have to juggle the takeout, turn it off, turn it back on, turn it off.
That's crazy.
All Saturday, just because of
can't keep
the volume.
Up.
Yeah,
I like that you turn it off though. Some people will
let it
beat
ride
down their kitchen, and then that's how you lose employees.
Right.
Yeah.
You definitely got to take care of your people.
Kind of reminds me of the volume we were doing when I was talking to you about the lunch combination back when we first opened. Like, it's just, you can only do so much volume, and I think that growth is and that stuff down the line is going to be looking for opportunities where we can expand both. I could see a great combination of the two, maybe a little bit slightly bigger style of White Orchids, or a smaller version of Notch, to kind of like fuse together. But yeah, I mean, I think we're always open to conversations and growing and stuff, and I think that we've done it for so long together, and listening to guest feedback and stuff like that. I think the next goals would be to kind of like allow White Orchids to grow, even though it's been hard to with the size of the space, to just grow that in a way. And Notch, is going to be hitting its 3-year anniversary, and we spent 2.5 years of it, in COVID. So that still has a lot of growth potential and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, we're just I think we're coming off of and rolling with some good stuff now, and people are returning to the industry, which is great. So we're seeing some great people working for us, and front of house, back of house. So just growing staff. I mean, I think 15 years ago, people, Byron was teaching like he was teaching like the new bartenders to become bartenders, and they would grow with us and stuff like that. So it's almost kind of like flipping time back to like then, because we're having new faces that haven't even been in the industry, or people returning to the industry. So it's kind of cool to kind of like, rework that kind of aspect and grow in that way, I guess.
It's exciting to see how much you guys have done during COVID, after COVID, and then like a lot of people don't discuss, or like, we talked a little bit before the show, is that there's still a lag going on in the restaurant industry. And then the fact that you guys are still growing while somebody's pulling you, it's exciting to see what'll actually happen when it levels out. Because I feel like it will. Everything usually does. It's just, we never really had to live through something like we did. So it's all new to people. But then to see you guys are literally still pushing, but you got things that are out of your control holding you back. I mean, there's only bigger, exciting things coming down the road for either of the restaurants.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and Jeff hit on, takeout for us at White Orchids is quite voluminous at times, but that was a product of adjusting our business plan and adjusting the business plan during COVID.
You had to.
What was the word? Pivot, right? Pivot was everything, right? So pivot to maintain a business, pivot to keep your employees, and pivot to keep everybody around you successful, right? So I feel like we definitely did that there, but now you have a whole nother animal in which you're trying to incorporate into what was your past business plan. So now you're doing another business plan post all that. So like we said, turning off takeout, we just have to do it because we want to take care of the customers that are right in front of us and that are talking to us. And that's what we have to do the best that we can. And if we can't facilitate over the phone or online or something like that, we hope you have an opportunity to see us again another time, right? But
even issues like stuff like that, like there's, you mentioned things out of your control. I think it was Saturday. My wife called. I was at Notch, and she's like, Byron's in the kitchen. We're super swamped. Like he's running the kitchen, and we try to control the different back end stuff to monitor takeout, and we the story was they're trying to increase the takeout time. They would set it on the back end at 45 minutes. It would accept, but on the user end it would say 15 minutes, and she's like screenshot me that. I was like, we couldn't even we set it and then it didn't work because the guest would only see 15 minutes, so we get a bunch of tickets. We emailed the point of sales. We emailed the PO point of sales company like, hey, we're having this issue where we're setting the takeout time, but it says 15 minutes for the user on there. And so we just had to turn off takeout completely, but we'd still those little issues on when you see in kitchens or in restaurants where foods come out slow, we had no control over that, and we had 5 or 6 guests like you said 15 minutes for takeout, we're waiting for a takeout, and I was super busy. We had to turn off takeout that night, and it was well, we can't trust this point of sales right now, so we're gonna just turn it off.
I make it a point that if anyone is sitting at a table when I go out to eat and they start questioning the time, I will break down the entire process from the waitress going back to how it works, and then they usually are like, okay, and I'm like, yeah, so it's cool. We're going to get food. I like sometimes going out places that do take a little bit longer to hang out, but it's if you've never worked, I feel like everyone should have to. As a child, you should have to. You should have to at least do one day on the line, get in the weeds, have a panic attack, and either be like, "That's cool, let's do it tomorrow," or you now have respect for anybody that's in that kitchen. It's something that's not cut for everybody, and you need a very specific type of person that enjoys doing that every day. And then the fact that some people are that impatient or disrespectful to what anyone's doing with that craft, it bothers me, and I'll say something. I mean, everybody has their limits, but at the same time, it's my mom will be like, what's taking so long? And I'm like, well, that lady looks like she's swamped, and I'll just from being in it, I'm sure you guys can read a room when you're like, all right, I'm like, what if somebody called out today and you only, when you're on a kitchen with 4 people and you're trying to get everything done and you haven't been able to hire that 5th person because there's so many people that don't work, and then one of those people has a family issue, and then now you're down to 3, it's a tight room.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's a tight room.
There's a lot of stuff people don't see.
Yeah,
especially in a 400 square foot kitchen, right?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever really got to work in a large kitchen. Maybe a golf course I did. My very first job I got to, I didn't know anything. I was like, oh, is the fryer? I don't know how to use it. They're like, wait till it floats. That was maybe the biggest kitchen, but everything that was busy and popular, I was in a very small. But there's probably about that size. I worked in a whiskey house in Virginia, and it was nuts. There was room to stand next to each other like this, and you're like, it'll change you for the better, but the small kitchens, yeah, they're tight. What do you guys got coming up recently? Anything? You guys got events or anything that are coming up for the anniversary?
Yeah, we just recently our management group we did a special brew with 7 sirens. So we, our team set up our team to go brew a kind of a Notch White Orchid centric style beer. We picked different flavor profiles. We
did you get to go to 7 Sirens and get to do all that?
Yeah, so
they're cool.
Yeah,
I like 7
really
Sirens.
Cool. Yeah, and, we did the grains, the hops, put them all in, put together. We're doing a lemon drop hop beer with them, so we're gonna be getting that around the anniversary.
Yeah, so it's a lemon drop hop, like American white ale. So something a little bit different, but kind of influenced from our flavor profiles, and starting with the thought of like a yuzu lemon centric, like summer wheat style.
That's fun.
Yeah, so then we evolved into what we came together as a collaboration with. So we're excited about that beer for sure.
Yeah, I think last year we did some like drawings for like different prizes. Being Byron really into wine and stuff like that. Myself, like we gave out like some favorite bottles of select wines that we were able to obtain, stuff like that for guests. Enter in stuff like that. Definitely gonna run something with this collaboration we're doing with Seven Sirens, like a local collab brew, which would be cool. And at Notch we're reopening our chef's table again over there. So yeah, that's gonna be kind of a neat transition. Being more staffed up and so I think fun things coming down, but keep things the same as well too. But just kind of like slowly, kind of like do new stuff as well too. We renovated our patio at White Orchids a little bit as well too. So
we have some patio events coming up to end out the summer season. So
that'd be nice.
Yeah, it's a great space out there, the patio.
Cool. I want to thank you guys for coming on. It's super impressive that we did Notch and then now this, and then to hear just to see and the people you work with, and meeting him and understanding everybody kind of makes this all work. It's a very special place you got between both restaurants, and to do anything 15 years is super impressive, but then to have it start from this idea of family, and then to see it grow, and then just hearing the stories about how everyone like wants to hang out, and like you guys really become a part of the restaurant, which some places aren't like that at all. So I think you guys definitely stand out. If you guys ever want to do one where we just sit around and talk about drinks and wine and beer, I would love to do that. That would be fun to do, especially with the new studio. There's stuff that we can do there down the road. I want to give you guys a chance to kind of plug White Orchid and give out your social media and anything else you guys kind of got going on coming up.
Yeah, White Orchids is at the Promenade Shops in Center Valley, 2985 Center Valley Parkway. Our White Orchids handle is White Orchids _ Thai Cuisine. And yeah, we're on Facebook. Catch us on there. Our menu has like our IG handle, so if you aren't quite sure what to get, if you're a first timer, just pop your camera onto their IG QR, and it comes up our social media, all our pictures.
That's cool.
Dishes, stuff like that, or cool reels that we do, and people cooking in the kitchen, different flavors, drinks, cocktails. So I think that's a great way to kind of like either try something new or see what you have not tried or want to try.
Yeah, social media is good. It's a good follow.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's been great.
Cool. Byron, you have anything?
No, I appreciate your time.
Of course, man.
Time.
First time listener, first time watcher, it's neveragainstudio.com. You can go to YouTube to subscribe to that. The apparel is back up and running. There is a link in my Instagram that goes to Linktree. You can get the apparel now. It's drop shipping. Kyle's our sponsor for that. So when you order it, it gets shipped to you, and I'm bringing back all the old shirts. The neveragainradio.com has everything on there. So if you want to watch YouTube on there, you want to listen to it, you can watch it all there. You can watch it also separately on Spotify and every other platform that pretty much does podcasts at this point. Thank you guys again. I want to get you out of here so you guys can get back to work.
Never Again Radio. Get into it, brother.